As centuries and then millennia came and went, the clarity of men's and women's inspired and interdependent contributions became clouded with misinformation and misunderstandings. During the time between that marvelous beginning in the Garden of Eden and now, the adversary has been quite successful in his goal to divide men and women in his attempts to conquer our souls. Lucifer knows that if he can damage the unity men and women feel, if he can confuse us about our divine worth and covenant responsibilities, he will succeed in destroying families, which are the essential units of eternity. Satan incites comparison as a tool to create feelings of being superior or inferior, hiding the eternal truth that men's and women's innate differences are God-given and equally valued. He has attempted to demean women's contributions both to the family and in civil society, thereby decreasing their uplifting influence for good. His goal has been to foster a power struggle rather than a celebration of the unique contributions of men and women that complement one another and contribute to unity. So, over the years and around the globe, a full understanding of the divinely interdependent and yet differing contributions and responsibilities of women and men largely disappeared. Females in many societies became subservient to males rather than side-by-side partners, their activities limited to a narrow scope. Spiritual progress slowed to a trickle during those dark times. Indeed, little spiritual light could penetrate minds and hearts steeped in traditions of dominance. And then the light of the restored gospel shone above the brightness of the sun when God the Father and his Son Jesus Christ appeared to the boy Joseph Smith early in the spring of 1820 in that hallowed woodland in upstate New York. That event began a modern outpouring of revelation from heaven. One of the first elements of Christ's original church to be restored was the authority of the priesthood of God. As the restoration continued to unfold, men and women began to realize anew the importance and potential of working as partners, authorized and directed in this sacred labor by him. In 1842, when the women of the fledgling church wanted to form an official group to help in the work, President Joseph Smith felt inspired to organize them under the priesthood after the pattern of the priesthood. He said, "I now turn the key to you in the name of God. This is the beginning of better days." And since that key was turned, educational, political, and economic opportunities for women have begun to gradually expand throughout the world.
Can everybody hear me? Before I go into a spiel, I'm going to check that I'm coming through. I should be coming through now, I think. So go ahead and comment if you can hear me. Can everybody hear me? Can everyone see me? Just going to wait for a second. Can you hear me? Am I being heard? Am I coming through? Just waiting for confirmation. Can people hear me? Yes. Okay. Thank you. I am very sorry. For some reason, it defaulted from my microphone. Okay. So we're going to try this again. Welcome to FHE with Chelsea. A place where we cherish, watch over, comfort one another, and gain instruction, that we may all sit down in heaven together. So, thank you. Okay, so Sister Bingham started out her talk contrasting Adam and Eve, their life in the garden versus their life in mortality, and basically how they had to unite together and make decisions together, and they honored each other's differences to face whatever confronted them. And then she went to this segment of her address, which I'm glad I had the question at the bottom, even though you all couldn't hear me in that background. She said, I'm so sorry. The question was, how do we celebrate differences? And I think something that really struck me when I was listening to this, and I'm trying to think, I'm trying to find it. Okay, so she talks about how Satan incites comparison as a tool to create feelings of being superior or inferior, hiding the eternal truth that men's and women's innate differences are God-given and equally valued. And this is what I think is interesting. That, where is it at? Okay, Lucifer knows that if he can damage the unity men and women feel, he can confuse us about our divine worth and covenant responsibilities. He will succeed in destroying families, which are the essential units of eternity. So I thought that that was very interesting that she talks about, oh no, can I have anything else go wrong? Am I back on? My internet is like dying. Let's see. I'm going to have to just turn that off. Am I back? Okay. I swear. I mean, sorry, I should say that on here. Okay. I mean, I'm just having a lot of... My internet is dying. Okay. So anyway, she talks about unity, and it's really good. And what Satan does is he tries to basically... divide men and women to conquer families, which I thought was like very interesting. And I think what's neat about this talk is that like even though she's talking about men and women, it can really be applied to any sort of relationship that you may be in, like a parent, a child, a sibling, as far as creating unity and using instead of comparing but actually celebrating differences. So the next segment of her talk and what I'd like for us to discuss are what are ways we can achieve unity. And hopefully my internet will decide to go smoother than what it's been doing.
We are taught that priesthood blesses the lives of God's children in innumerable ways. In church callings, temple ordinances, family relationships, and quiet individual ministry, Latter-day Saint women and men go forward with priesthood power and authority. The interdependence of men and women in accomplishing God's work through his power is central to the gospel of Jesus Christ, restored through the prophet Joseph Smith. Unity is essential to the divine work we are privileged and called to do, but it doesn't just happen. It takes effort and time to really counsel together, to listen to one another, understand one another's viewpoints, and share experiences, but the process results in more inspired decisions. Whether at home or in our church responsibilities, the most effective way to fulfill our divine potential is to work together, blessed by the power and authority of the priesthood in our differing yet complementary roles. What does that partnership look like in the lives of covenant women today? Let me share an example. Allison and John had a partnership that was unique. They rode a tandem bicycle in races short and long. To successfully compete on that vehicle, the two riders must be in harmony. They have to lean in the same direction at the right time. One cannot dominate the other, but they must communicate clearly and each do his or her part. The captain in front has control over when to brake and when to stand. The stoker in the back needs to pay attention to what is going on and be ready to give extra power if they lag behind a little or ease up if they get too close to other cyclists. They must support one another to make progress and achieve their goal. Allison explained, for the first little while, the person in the captain position would say stand when he needed to stand and braking when he needed to stop pedaling. After a while, the person who was a stoker learned to tell when the captain was about to stand or brake, and no words needed to be said. We learned to be in tune to how each other was doing and could tell when one was struggling and then the other tried to pick up the slack. It's really all about trust and working together. John and Allison were united not only as they pedaled their bicycle, but they were united in their marriage as well. Each desired the happiness of the other more than his or her own. Each looked for the good in one another and worked to overcome the not so great in him or herself. They took turns leading and took turns giving more when one partner was struggling. Each valued the other's contributions and found better answers to their challenges as they combined their talents and resources. They are truly bound to one another through Christ-like love. Becoming more in tune with the divine pattern of working together in unity is critical in this day of me-first messages that surround us. Women do possess distinctive divine gifts and are given unique responsibilities, but those are not more or less important than men's gifts and responsibilities. All are designed and needed to bring about Heavenly Father's divine plan to give each of His children the best opportunity to fulfill his or her divine potential. Today, we need women who have the courage and vision of our Mother Eve to unite with their brethren in bringing souls unto Christ. Men need to become true partners rather than assume they are solely responsible or act as pretend partners while women carry out much of the work. Women need to be willing to step forward and take their rightful and needful place as partners rather than thinking they need to do it all by themselves or wait to be told what to do. Seeing women as vital participants is not about creating parity, but about understanding doctrinal truth. Rather than establishing a program to bring that about, we can actively work to value women as God does, as essential partners in the work of salvation and exaltation. Are we ready? Will we strive to overcome cultural bias and instead embrace divine patterns and practices based on foundational doctrine? President Russell M. Nelson invites us to walk arm in arm in this sacred work to help prepare the world for the second coming of the Lord. As we do, we will learn to value each individual's contributions and increase the effectiveness with which we fulfill our divine roles. We will feel greater joy than we have ever experienced. May each of us choose to become united in the Lord's inspired way to help His work go forward.
I know that it kept cutting in and out, and I don't know why. So I am really, really sorry. I will try to summarize that a little bit while I know that it's not cutting in and out. So she gives the example of a couple that rides in a tandem bicycle and how they're united as far as what they do when they are racing, and they got to the point they didn't even need to communicate what needed to be done. It just cut again. She's going so poorly. Anyway, it's a really great address, and I definitely recommend watching it. I'm sorry, like, it's just totally out of my control, like, why it's streaming so poorly. I don't know if I don't think it's my internet. It could be Facebook. Anyway, so I apologize. But I'm just going to do our activity, and I'm going to link the YouTube. I will upload this onto YouTube, and it won't have these issues with it. So our activity to signify doing unity is I am going to do a little water experiment. So it's not really an experiment. So I think something that we can think about with unity and appreciating differences is with food coloring. So I have yellow. Nope, it cut again. I'm going to wait for it to come back up. Here we go. I think I'm back up. Nope, it just went back down again. Come on. You can do it. You can do it. Okay. So I am going to keep going and just upload this to YouTube, even though I know it's not coming through on Facebook for you all. And I just really apologize about that. So I feel like two contrasting colors are yellow and blue, right? So this could represent like men and women, right? And I have to pick yellow because yellow is my favorite color. And I guess like I could be biased, and you can get into whole, discussions of what color is better. But the truth is, like, color is color. And so, but if they work together, you can make something even better. And if you have too much of one, it ends up not making the green it's supposed to. So that is my little video. That's my little activity on having unity. And again, I just apologize for my internet. So there's the green. It turned out pretty cool. So that was it for our activity. And again, I apologize that it's streaming so poorly. So we are just going to close with now let us rejoice and have our prayer screen, and I'll wrap up. And hopefully you all can catch this on YouTube and maybe have a discussion on there.